I'm resident of College for YouTube, Joel Saints. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review episode 665, narrated by Thayer David, written by Ron Sproat, directed by Dan Curtis. This was recorded January 3rd, 1969, broadcast January 10th, 1969. Fun
Is that
episode.
today?
Yeah.
But in 1969? Is it the 10th?
1969, yeah.
Today's the 10th.
Today's the 10th. So
that's great.
Okay, this is going to be the last episode we ever see Victoria winners.
Is that a threat from you? Do we not get to review more? Or have we been bad?
That's right. You have to keep.
You mean as an audience?
Yes, as an audience.
Alan and I had misbehaved one too many times. Those Collinsworth boys are at it again.
Getting slapped.
Oh, God. But we also get to see Angelique set on fire this episode.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. If your new year wasn't merry yet or rated in true, this episode could do it for you.
I like a good wassail fire.
Yeah.
This was it was a very almost Jack Burton moment. You know, when Jack just takes the knife out to the paper knife. Ah, fuck it. And it had that quality. Barnabas, he's like, you can only do this so many times, Angelique.
Yeah.
You can only do it so many times.
Yeah, they sort of somewhat teased setting something up in the prior episode.
Yes.
But they definitely set something up in this episode. Ben and Barnabas are how good of a dynamic duo are Ben and Barnabas, you think?
They're as good as any Monty Python duo, because there's a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more going on in the early part of this episode.
It's true, as opposed to Barnabas and Willie, which are Blackadder and Baldrick.
Right.
Completely.
Except Willie doesn't have brilliant plans.
He doesn't. Except but I think Blackadder 2 is where it's at its most dark shadows light.
Yeah.
I really love Roger Davis and Laura Parker's performance in this episode. Roger Davis is completely mournful over Victoria's death in the drawing room. And I love how Aunt Natalie and Millicent, they're like, oh, Mr. Bradford, you should just go you should go eat something, go like that. Like, he just lost the love of his damn life.
Right.
What did you guys think of Roger Davis in this episode?
His performance was not overwrought, and he didn't play with his hair too much. No. So, yeah, he was focused. He was more focused, I think. And, he had the beer and the body to focus on. So there you go. Maybe he had a beer before the performance. Who knows? But yeah, he's pretty he's pretty within his actor self in that particular scene. Definitely, I think. Whereas the scene with Natalie and Millicent, when they finally meet in the tower room, is a study in melodrama in a lot of ways. It's what's happening? What did they say? Oh my God! It's that kind of stuff. And it's good, and I love it. This is one of the things I love about Dark Shadows. Every once in a while, they just kick it up a gear and go. And that's kind of one of those scenes when they do that. And the thing is, of course, the music accompanying always helps. And they have none of that to help them as actors. The music is not present with them. So they have to generate that between themselves and not kind of go with the music. The music has to be carefully chosen and inserted and silently in terms of the soundstage. You don't hear it as an actor. So,
Patrick, what did you think of Roger Davis here?
I think Alan put it best: silent insertion. He is. speaking of which, so believe it or not, this is a torch. And after I put it on the table in this magnetic stand it's on, because I do a lot of wood chip smoke, like drinks and things like that.
Yeah.
I realized to my horror that
It
Anyway,
looks like a
so
gauge, but not the kind that goes in the ear. Yeah.
I suppose so. I suppose so. So Roger Davis, I have confessed over and over again, is one of my favorite actors on the show. There's a good Kubrick Spielberg story where Kubrick asked Spielberg, name your favorite actors. And Spielberg said, Henry Fonda, Gary Cooper, Ron Jeremy. You know, I mean, he just listed a few, and Kubrick kind of listened to his list, nodded. He said, "You know who was missing from that list? Roger Davis." I didn't say that. He said, "You know who was missing from that list? James Cagney."
Yeah.
And you know, that is an aesthetic, that is a taste.
It is.
For a performance, God damn it, you can slice into chunks and put it in the basement for the winter, and that's what Roger delivers.
Yes.
And that kind of tour de force, kind of constant Harold Hill figure, that, you know, I like a cross between Harold Hill and Dr. Lowe, and a little bit of Larry Flint. Yeah, honestly.
Little
you put all
rebellion.
that
Yeah.
They're Kentucky boys.
Yes.
You put all that together, and you get Roger, and I think he's wonderful in this. I think he's a great, believable, square-jawed leading man,
Mm-hmm.
but a slightly more cerebral one than I think we're maybe used to on the show.
It's true. And
And
a lot of in retrospect, I think one of the things that is mistaken among we fans sometimes with Roger is his reputation off screen as as a cut up and all that sort of thing, as opposed to what he's actually doing on screen most of the time.
yes,
And
we defend as long as it's pretentious enough in its execution. We will defend the process.
mm-hmm.
All day long. And that's fine, sifting sands and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, if people want to do it.
That's right.
But now let's say sifting the sands really annoys somebody who's trying to work on their line someplace or something like that. Well, then that person's just up a creek. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
And if you tell the sifting the sands people, hey, take that someplace else. I'm really working here. No, you're the bad guy.
Right.
Now, and so in other words, some people are kind of magically entitled to intrude with their process on others, and it's okay. And it's like, well, you know what? That cuts up one side, down the other. It does cut both ways. Yes, Roger was kind of obnoxious at times, I think. But hell of an omelet.
Absolutely.
Hell of an omelet. I really think so. It is not always that concerned with realism, but it's concerned with being true and being passionate and being interesting. And that story is important to Roger.
Yep.
And I love those things.
Yes.
And there's such a that's the other thing with Dark Shadows that I love, is there's such a variety of acting styles.
That's one of the things that I think that as an actor who has worked in a lot of ensembles, and I've seen this, is that some people's process is, I walk through the door and I'm there. And other people's process is I have to start with a read, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do that. They're both legitimate as far as I'm concerned. It blows people's minds, though, I think, that work on a more detailed process, when they see somebody that can just drop in. And some people can do that. I've seen it, and be present, and do the things that they need to do. So
Sure.
You get that variety within this show. You see this variety. You see some people, there's some people that were known for kind of working at least around the fringes of the method. And there were other people that were trained to deliver the damn line, and
the Clermont actors.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was Grayson Hall was
Mm-hmm.
Harold Clermont's favorite actor.
Yep.
Yeah. Laura Parker delivers the scream of the century here in Perishing. In fact, aliens picked it up from outer space. What a scream!
She starts
Is
with
that
a regular scream, and it goes into a pre-recorded scream because she's not going to blow out her her vocal cords by doing it that many times.
here's something I wanted to ask you about, because I've heard about it many times, and I've kind of heard it written up, and some people have talked about it as a big deal. Is it the Wilhelm scream?
It's not the Wilhelm scream. It's the Wilhelm scream of Dark Shadows. It's actually
What is the Wilhelm scream?
The Wilhelm scream. You can see it's in a lot of westerns in the 50s and 60s. You can look it up on YouTube, and it's indescribable. You have to hear it.
I think Jewel has something to say. I see him burbling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go if you can. Go play Red Dead Redemption, and then you will hear a Wilhelm scream within the frame of the story.
That's a lot of. I'm not very good at those things.
But Alan's right. In westerns, it's just some of those Wilhelm screams are very corny in a sense.
Play that.
I would not call this a corny scream.
No, this is actually from some legitimate sound library, but it was also, and I may have mentioned this before, it was also used in some of the Halloween horror LPs of the time. Yeah, I have it on one of. I have a digital copy of a 1960 Halloween horror LP.
I think I know. Is that the one? Is it the orange cover, or is it the Forey Ackerman?
It's the one that I have. I think it's got an orange pumpkin on the cover of it.
Okay.
And I don't have a digital copy. I don't have an actual hard copy of it. But it was pressed in 1960, and I actually shared that info with Danielle at one point because she was talking about the sound effects, where they came from, and all that stuff. And I'm kind of interested in that stuff too. And I said, this is the only one I've ever found anywhere else that was related to Dark Shadows. I mean, there's also several of them that were used on Dark Shadows that were Foleyed. They were, original. They were done by the Foley artist on the show. But things like the werewolf snarls and all of that sort of thing probably came from some audio library, but I've never been able to find the precise ones.
What a wonderful little piece of history to have the time and the opportunity to, definitively track down.
Mm-hmm. It's I don't know, it might have been ABC had its own set of records, or something at that time. It may have been lost to history at this point. I don't know.
I wonder if Bob Burns know.
Hold on. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this.
Pardon?
That's the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now, like lepetamine, how did you make that sound, Jewel?
Oh, I just typed it in on my phone. Hold on.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
He has a highly trained aim.
Jewel, do you know about lepetamine?
No.
Look up.
Oh God.
L-E. I want to just see your expression. L-E-P-E-T. O.
L-E.
P-E-T-O. M-A-I-N-E.
M-A-I-N-E.
I'm watching carefully. It's like the best show
in
town.
Wait, what? What the hell?
What the hell? That's a good first reaction.
Okay. Image? Am I looking for an image or what?
Just a brief description.
Yes.
His name is Joseph Pujol in real life.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Oh God. Was what now? A French what? Of abdominal muscle.
Yeah. He's called the flatulist.
Oh God, abdominal muscle.
But it was not gas.
Okay.
It was not gas. It was air that he could take in from the outside and then hold on to and expel, creating very, very, very specific sounds. Or he could blow out candles, smoke a cigar with a tube. You know, I mean, for God's sake.
It's sort of like somebody that can burp on cue, only not burping.
Yeah.
I would say something that's sort of close to a Wilhelm scream is also somebody who did it was Screaming Norman Smiley, a WCW wrestler.
Yes.
Every time he got hit, he would scream like a Wilhelm.
Yes.
That was a gimmick they had him going for the hardcore matches. But Laura Parker does not deliver a Wilhelm scream. She delivers a scream of terror.
She does. She belts it out a couple of times there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great job.
She's no Walter Koenig. So that's a screamer.
Yes. I love the chemistry between Angelique and Barnabas here. Laura Parker, Jonathan Frid do not miss a beat with each other before the fire starts. You expect me to trust you? I love that line because he did trust her in the previous episode.
Yes, he just knows too much. The only thing this scene is missing is Barnabas laughing as he's saying these things. He can't believe he's even bothering to have the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that really turns him, because he is forced to trust her if he wants a chance of Vicky surviving, obviously. But the thing that turns him back the other way is Angelique's obvious cruelty and, let's just go through with the hanging. Let's just go through with the hanging.
So many other choices.
Yeah.
So many other choices she
let's
could
take
have made.
The cruelest possible choice we can find.
And then it always comes back to some blackmail, wedding. Some shotgun or Burundi wand wedding.
Yeah.
It's like when he opens the door to let Ben in and the torch is coming, it's like he's had it. Like, okay,
I love that moment. It's so prepared and they enjoy it so much.
Mm-hmm. Love it when a plan comes together. And
really, I mean, I've talked about the A-Team connection with Dark Shadows before. And this is one of those episodes where I really feel like there should be a red diagonal stripe going up Barnabas's coffin.
Yeah.
Just like their van.
Absolutely. We also get Aunt Natalie is in this episode, so Grayson Hall's in this episode, Millicent, and also Joel Carruthers is here as Lieutenant Ford.
Absolutely.
He gets freed from jail. But to touch upon something, this is the last. I mentioned this earlier. This is the last episode we see the character Victoria Winters. What did you guys?
Big sea change.
So Carolyn Groves plays Victoria Winters in this episode as well. What did you guys think of the final appearance of the character Victoria Winters?
Well, if it had to be, it was a pretty decent send-off. It had some good emotional impact to it. They got to say their goodbyes. She gets to be happily ever after, at least until the retcon of 1970. But it's pretty good. As these kind of farewells go, it's pretty decent. It's pretty good.
Patrick, what did you think?
It is too hurried. And because of that, it does not fall prey to any bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sort of moment and the sort of genre that would love to drown it in bad taste. A clip show with How You Look Tonight playing in the background, which they can get away with on DS9, but that's it.
Yeah.
It could have been or I'll Be With You Always.
Mm-hmm.
That would, I'll Be With You Always. With lots of Vicky in slow motion turning and reacting, and just like
doing a regular soap opera when they have a big goodbye.
Yes, it would have been in terrible taste. This is one of those things, as I often say, Dark Shadows is the most realistic show on TV, and it's like, yes, we would love to have a heartfelt goodbye, but we have to go. Vicky has an appointment to die of cholera.
And commercial break coming up.
They're gonna see the Big West. At least if that's what you call Connecticut, because I think that's about as far as they might have gotten.
Westport, yes.
Yeah, West. We're going Westport.
Yeah. I think at this moment, though, it's not. You're right. It doesn't linger, which I love, but it does a lot of the right things too. I feel from
Well,
Vicky's.
no, I mean, not lingering is one of the right things. I
Right,
mean, you have to let it linger.
Yes.
right. I feel for Victoria's character, it does a lot of really great things too. I always felt that this episode, Vicky is to the point. Hey, I've often said I don't understand. Well, I feel at this in this episode, she's feeling I don't need to understand. I just need to know this man, Barnabas, and she is sort of saying that to the degree, helped me, and I'll always remember him. I'll never forget him or this family that opened their door to me. And I always feel that's this episode here too. She's going to remember them for the rest of her life, no matter what happens next to her. Which I always loved. I loved,
That's an audience payoff. You're
Yeah,
not
it
the only
is.
one that loves that.
Yeah,
That's an audience payoff.
yeah, and I feel it's a really good payoff for the character here. They do every right thing to send the character off, which is good. Do I wish it was Alexander? Yeah, sure. But Carolyn Groves is a really, really good Victoria winner. Is underrated as hell and does a good job.
The one thing that disconnects me from Alexander is knowing that she made that choice willingly and happily.
Yeah.
She ended up having a child and doing other things, and she might have come back to the show. She might not, but I don't think she was. She had a plan for her life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she successfully rescued the child from the Goblin King at one point.
That's right.
So good for her on that. By the way, what do you call a plate of rice that sings La Vie en Rose?
I know.
Edith Piaf.
Oh my god. Oh Jesus. What's you guys' favorite scene? What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
I mean,
Torching the
there's
witch.
so Burn Witch. I mean, has got to really top it.
Yeah.
But also that last scene. Not the last scene, but last scene that Barnabas has with Vicky.
With Vicky. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on. That's a huge moment. That is the show officially passing the baton of protagonists.
I want you to know when this video is done, there is obviously going to be links for Alan's channel and Patrick's book, but there's also going to be a link of the song "Burning for You," which I feel is appropriate for this video.
Blue Oyster.
It is.
Yeah.
Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah. Oh my god.
Which there's a Dark Shadows connection to Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
Grayson Hall did a narration of their Secret Treaties album for Radio Spot.
Sorry. I think, the favorite moment is Burn Witch Burn and Vicky's goodbye. But I love Joel Carruthers' hesitation of going into the crypt too. At first, he's like
logical.
Yeah, it's like, wait, are you sure of this?
Go in there.
Yeah,
it could be a vampire.
Not cowardice, it's self-preservation.
For all the moments that are going on, Dark Shadows brings you back to the gothic horror of the vampire too. Really great job. Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
It's always a spike, I think, in popularity in the show whenever Barnabas goes back to his vampire roots. And I think this little foray was a really nice boost for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them.
I guess this is the first of two that he goes back. And Vicky went back, but then Barnabas goes back. This is the first of two.
Yeah.
And I kind of see it. Him going back to his past and dealing with things from that era are sort of resets, and they are sort of symbols that he is finally pure, that he is ready to go back, reflect, gather his forces again, realize who he is in the best sense and in the worst sense, who he could be, and he decides to do something else because think about it. Right. When does he go back again?
After 1897.
Yeah, so we are at a little past 25% into the series, and they're probably 30, 35, 40, but let's say it's 25. It is kind of a quarter point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then we're about 75% through the series when he goes back one more time.
Yeah.
And they all signal something a little different. The second time, I guess, signals the opposite. That you think you're all this.
Yeah.
You still have you still have not forgiven Angelique.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a cosmic sense, we're gonna reset you again. If there were some kind of force that were, doing all of this, I think those are sort of significant milestones. For me, they're like the appearance of the monolith.
Mm-hmm.
We got to drag you back home. Okay,
Yep.
What have you learned? I don't know. Why am I here? Okay,
Let's
wrong
start
answer.
again. Yeah.
I love that. But the show has this accidental structure.
It does.
That's so perfect.
It's and it's accidental on some level, but it's also it's kind of a writer's trope when it's used imaginatively that can work well more than once in a long-term story arc, like that. So yeah.
Here's a weird question for you guys, because this, again, it could have been scheduling, but from a storytelling standpoint, there's no Joshua Collins here. They don't show the character. Is that on purpose?
Probably off doing Man of La Mancha or something.
Yeah.
So, it's probably on purpose. Sure. I mean, because he may not have been available.
Louis, I think Louis and Joan are on vacation, aren't they?
Okay. I know
because she's buried alive somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. They both had, I think, I know Joan did. She had a contract where she got 6-week breaks every summer, I think it was, where she could go off and do something at the Westport Country Playhouse or someplace like that.
Well, she was married to Jennings Lang, right? Wasn't she married to Jennings Lang? Or was Jennings Lang her lover?
Not at this point. At this point, she's unmarried, I think. She's single at this point.
She's got a place in L.A., though, I imagine. And I think she just forgot to feed the cat.
Yes.
She had forgotten to feed the cat and had to go back and check. So she just got to work, too. I don't know if I left the iron one.
So many great moments in this episode. Really fun episode too. It was nice to see Joel Carruthers, because we're not going to see him after this.
No, this is his last hurrah, really.
Yeah, because he's off. I do love the fact, because that's what makes the '91 revival so special. They don't kill off his character in the original series, but they do kill off Joe Haskell in the revival.
That's correct.
Which I always found unique. Very, very interesting.
It had great shock value, especially for fans of the original show, but I think for everybody that was watching it as well. And it was designed to be a catalyst for for a lot of things, but that never got resolved because we didn't have a second season. But
that's the moment my jaw hit the floor, is when they killed him off. I'm like, what? They killed Joe.
Yeah.
No.
We're Saddam Hussein and Warren Littlefield in collusion against Dark Shadows.
Let's just say they were. Why not? I don't know. No, I don't know.
Who's the guy that cut ribbons to Night of Dark Shadows? The producer, the executive.
Oh, it was James Aubrey.
Right, Aubrey. I found out that I run across stuff all the time, that he also did a similar thing to Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
He just
several
chopped 20 minutes out of it just because he could.
Yeah.
And apparently he was not well thought of in that respect, but he saved money. He was like a vulture capitalist. He went into MGM and he fired 3,500 people. He did all this crap, and of course he turned a profit, at least temporarily, and produced a lot of garbagey movies, and that turned small profits, so that that it did sort of enable a sort of economic recovery, but he was a terrible art. He was not a friend to artists or directors or any of those people. So
yeah. I mean, it works when you help the movie with cuts, but it doesn't always work that way.
James T. Aubrey had no business being an editor of anything.
Well, he's a bad guy at the end of Dable Gunbound.
Yeah.
He's in that Where's that script? He's the bad, and Dan gets his revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's holding up that Emmy.
Yes. Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode before we go?
This whole arc's really nice, as we've said before. It's it's really a nice boost.
I think, really Dark Shadows at its zenith for me begins solidly for me when Barnabas destroys the equipment in the lab.
Man.
And maybe it doesn't stop. But this is one of those confirmations to me as a viewer of it's a statement of intent by the show. It's like, okay, these are the characters we're going to give you. They are heroic. They're weird, but they're superheroes with some sunlight allergies.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see where they go.
I think it shows Barnabas at his best in that he can be selfless.
Yes.
Given the right circumstances, he can be selfless, and that destroying the lab he's being totally selfless, because it could be his personal holocaust if Adam gets killed or any of these other things happen. So he's just rebelling against the whole idea of being afraid to do something outside of himself.
His life is not worth the danger that Adam presents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Robert Rodin was his character of Adam is interesting, but
very underrated.
Yeah, very. I think that whole arc is very, very underrated.
Yeah, the piece that you wrote about Rodin is really good, Patrick.
Thank you. I hear that a lot, and that really means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Really, really good. You guys want to do 666 tomorrow? Margo?
Yes.
Sure. I'll tell you though. I have, when we're done with that, I'd like to do a few more features. I enjoy those.
I have
a suggestion for one. Jewel, what were you going to say?
Well, we'll do your suggestion first, but I'd love to do a movie that I feel inspired. A lot of gothic horror movies is a movie called Vampire,
which I've never seen.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. I was, shit, if we watch that, what's worth watching in concert with that? Haxan.
I've never seen it.
Have you ever seen Haxan?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow. You got to see it. And you got to look for the versions on YouTube. You got to look for the version with the William Burroughs narration.
Oh, cool.
It's a silent film, but then Burroughs went back and did this really weird, hilarious narration to it. It's very funny. So Haxan I would love us to do. I think, because Vampire is silent, right?
It's pretty silent. They do talk in it though a bit. You got to turn the subtitles on.
No, when we get beyond that, I'd love to. We haven't talked about Blazing Saddles.
No, we have not. Great movie.
And Alan, you have such a good sort of take on the sin of presentism. Mm-hmm. And that is a movie that has received that's political as hell in the right sense.
Yes. And is basically invulnerable, at least in most quarters, to presentism, because its wit is unassailable. As far as I'm concerned, it is.
But they tried.
Yeah,
it's like MASH. It's really been that but the work rises. But anyway, we save that and it's just fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, whenever you guys after 666 tomorrow, just pick a movie. We'll do it.
Sure.
Well, let's do Vampire. And then maybe the next day we do Haxan, which deals with a lot of the bizarre devil imagery and stuff like that
Sure.
that would show up later, and deals with witches and the whole 9 yards.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds
so
good.
tomorrow 666, Sunday Vampire, and then we'll do Hex and Monday.
That's great.
Blazing Saddles Tuesday. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook of Bound is going to be in the description box. Go pick that up if you haven't already. Great read. Link to Alan Glenn's YouTube channel, Collins Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. And link to Burning for You by Blue Oyster Cult. It's going to be in the description box. Go listen to it. And think of Angelique.
I will.
Blue Oyster Cult was my first concert ever.
Nice. By God. It's Alpha.